Hi, hello. This is my first try at bullet journaling ever and my first YouTube video as well. So, welcome to my channel and let's get started. I've been using a planner for quite some time, but I didn't really like all the features in it. So when I found myself in the wonderful world of YouTube bullet journaling videos, I thought, why not start one? But since I'd have to make all spreads and I'm quite artistically challenged, Pinterest became my new best friend to look for doodling designs and spread inspirations and just everything from colors to themes to lists. So because I'll just absolutely mess everything up if I winged it, I jotted down the pages and spreads I thought would be the most useful for me to include in my bullet journal. These pages were title, key, year at glance, a big version of it, and a half-year log is the small version, things to check out, goals, budgeting and expenses, a bookshelf, monthly layouts, quotes, and space for doodles, so then maybe I'll get better at them. Some of the pages ended up shifting places, some disappearing, and I'm looking at you, doodles page. Some were added, like one line a day and playlist pages, but here was how I was initially looking to set up my first bullet journal. Okay, name page. I totally forgot about that one. So this is the very beginning. For this bullet journal, I wanted to try both going all out with colors and doodles and washi tapes, as well as keeping some things minimalist, black and white with just some extra things here and there, just so at the end of this setup I could see which kinds of spreads I enjoyed making the most. Going back to the not being very artistic thing, just writing my name in fancy cursive was so nerve-wracking that I decided to just print out and stamp words whenever I felt like using calligraphy. And so I stamped "Every day is a fresh start" at the very beginning because it's a quote that always manages to give me that extra motivation. I mean, every day really is a fresh start and I can do whatever I want with it. For the title page, I went for a big 2020 on the corner with little branch with flowers and 2 tarot cards. The one in the front is the star and the back one is the sun. These two are perhaps the most positive cards in all of the major arcanas, and that's the kind of positivity I want to channel into this new year. Besides, the star is also called the card of my zodiac sign, which is Aquarius, so I just thought that was really neat. Next up, I put the key and kept it pretty simple with symbols for tasks and when they're in progress, completed, moved, and or cancelled. I also put there symbols for deadlines, events, notes, and important stuff in general. And then it was time to set up my year at glance, and that was my first big mess up of the bullet journal because I somehow forgot how many months there were in a year and put down spaces for only 9. See, that's the exact moment I realized I had freaked up. But that's alright. There's always correcting tape to help out and I can try again and again and again. So there, it wasn't that bad, but then the months kept bleeding through the washi tape and I changed them to stickers. So here, that's the finished page, but we don't talk about her. To make up for the year at glance, the half-year log was quite alright. The greens indicate the weekend, and the blues mark up Tuesdays and Thursdays to make it easier for me to visualize the weeks without having to count up every single day, every single time. I added a word of the year page for me right next, and it's komorebi. I'm so sorry for the pronunciation. It's a Japanese word meaning the sunlight shining through the leaves of a tree. And under it, I wrote a bit of why I want this word to be the embodiment of my 2020. I also really enjoyed this aspect of being able to write a lot in my bullet journal, so I'll probably be incorporating some journaling pages in the future. Then there she is, 20 goals for 2020. To be honest, I only had about 16 actual tangible goals. I don't know how else to describe them. So the remaining 4 were quite vague, but still things that I would like to work on, not only throughout this year though, but just all the time. And then the bookshelf. I love this idea. I used to read a lot, but slowly stopped, and to mark my progress into reading again like this would just give me just a big sense of accomplishment. I actually hope I get to make a second bookshelf in my bullet journal before the year ends. And then on to January. I like the idea of basing each of my monthly spreads around the theme of some of my favorite songs, and since my breakthrough artist in 2019 was the group Wavy, I decided to make January into their song Dream Lounge. So the quote of the month is part of the song, and the theme of January is space, universe and celestial bodies, and I really like how these 2 pages turned out. I think I'm more comfortable using less colors, not minimalistic, but making something more monochrome, I guess. So next up is the month at a glance, and yeah, I really like the more single color alike spreads because I really enjoyed this one. Keeping up with the space theme, the phases of the moon are also in this spread. And since I'm in the southern hemisphere this whole month, that's how the moon will look like over here. Then I put down some lyrics of the song of the month, and they roughly mean if a star beyond light years is still shining so brightly, then every push is a step forward, and I really like the feeling of them. Then there's the one line a day page that I think will make a really cute snapshot of how I spend my days that month, especially because there are many days I don't take a single picture. So it'd be nice to look at some of those sentences and say, yeah, remember that. It was because so and so happened, and it will make me really happy. I didn't make any mood trackers because I really know myself and I just wouldn't fill them in, mostly because I find it easier to summarize in a sentence how I felt than to pick one emotion that ruled that day for me. I also didn't put any habit trackers because I just know I would leave them blank. Maybe if there is a really important habit that I would want to incorporate into my routine, I'll just put them down on my reminders every week, so they didn't feel really necessary to me. But anyway, that's my January playlist. These songs might not all go together, but each of them I've either been listening to a lot or they have a particular feeling I want to bring into this first month of the year. I also miscalculated the spaces, so there's me printing out 2 extra wonderful songs to put in there. The expenses page was actually the easiest one because it was also the most straightforward to me. I divided it into bills for the things that I must pay for every month and general, which are the things I like to spend on but they are not necessary. Then I put down my weekly totals to figure out what were my weekly savings, and so I can have a snapshot of my overall spending just to know how I can budget better. In bills, I put a column for expected spending, actual spending, and notes. in case there's anything different than the expected. And in general, the columns are estimated instead of expected, actual spending, and notes, just because each category varies a lot month by month. Since sometimes I spend a lot on delivery, and sometimes I end up seeing a concert or seeing a lot of movies out, for example, so there's that. Then I put some things to check out over the course of January. This page was originally also in the 2020 general setup, but to me it would make more sense to have one each month, otherwise I would run out of space pretty quickly. Here I have movies to check out, which for the next few months that would also include series, places like restaurants and landmarks, activities, which will be the things I don't do every single week, like hiking, and miscellaneous, just in case there are certain concerts or plays going on that month. Then I finally have my weekly spread! Since I'm easing myself into bullet journaling, I kept a column design similar to the planner I used in 2019 because that kind of worked for me. The thing is that the columns in the planner I was using were divided by every half hour, and that gave me a lot of anxiety because if I messed the timing of one thing up, I just feel like the whole day was wasted. So I like how freeing it is to just be able to write the major tasks I have that day, and then if something is not for a particular day that week, I'll just put it down under reminders or priorities. For each day, I also included the moon phase, and I think I'll keep that design throughout the whole month of January. Maybe in the next months I'll feel more adventurous and change up the style of the spreads every couple of weeks, but right now I feel like this one will work just fine for me. And that's it for the setup of my first bullet journal. Here's a flip through of how it's looking like so far. Thank you so very much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.